You are tuned into Labor Justice Radio, and you're listening on WPPM LP, Philadelphia, 106.5 FM. I am your host, Charles Clark, with my co-host, Jim Moran. How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing good. You better treat me nice today. I brought my Teamsters with me.
Oh, man.
What?
You heard what he said? We got the Teamsters in here.
Oh, okay. And that's true. We do have the Teamsters in the house. Local 623.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Local 623. That's the union, the local that represents workers at UPS, both at Philadelphia International Airport and over here on Oregon Avenue. You know, when you miss your package and they leave you a little note saying that you run home when they were delivering it, and you have the option to either reschedule a delivery or you can pick it up at Oregon Avenue. There might be other places, but I know I have made that trip down to Oregon Avenue, not far from, is it still Columbus Boulevard at that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still Columbus Boulevard.
I haven't fixed that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But at any rate, we should have a lively and informative discussion. The 6 members that are here, well, I'll let Richard Hooker, who is a shop steward at the airport, which they refer to as the hub, I'll let him sort of introduce in the slate and why there is a slate of candidates running for office or positions.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. It's good to be here. Thank y'all for, letting us do this here. Well, our movement is called 623 Lives Matter. It started right after the contract situation in 2013. So what we did, we got a group of guys together to try to change the way the company was doing business with our local union. So right here we have Clarence Bagby. He's running for president on our slate. We have Joe Esposito right here. He's running for vice president. We have James Romeo. He's running for trustee, one of our trustees. Victor Alvarez from the feeder department. He's also running as trustee. Then we have our sitting trustee right now that's on the board, even though they don't recognize him, Jumbo Nathan Daniels. Then we have, last but not least, recording secretary candidate Norm Calloway, a package car driver from Oregon Avenue, Center City Center.
Okay. Now, why has this slate come together?
Well, like I said earlier, the company, they do whatever they want to do to our members. And the reality is, the reason why they do that is because of our leaders, current leaders, from the local level all the way up to the international level. And we have to do something about that. We can't, let the company do whatever they want. We have a contract. It needs to be recognized. It was negotiated for both parties to recognize it, but they don't. And a lot of that is because our leaders have let them do whatever they want to do. So that's the main thing. Now, the politics and stuff like that, even though you guys know I'm not a politician, but I do realize that you do have to understand that the reason why UPS does what they do is because of the leaders that we do have. So we got together. We ran in 2016. We did some moving parts because, like I said, Norm was actually in 2016 on the opposing slate that ran, against the incumbents as well. But we realized that it's better to work together because, like I said, it's about stopping the company. And you have to work together to do that, no matter who's in office. So we got together, and like I said, in 2016, we lost by 37 slate votes. And it's very, very important people understand how close we were. Because if we went into the individual vote counts after the slate votes were counted, not only would our incumbents would have lost 1 seat, they would have lost 3 seats. So we took that and we just stayed active, stayed creating activity for ourselves and the members. Because like I said, if we don't stop UPS from doing what they've been doing, then it doesn't matter who's in office. So we got to get those guys that's in office out of office so we can see a change and go on the offense, not just be so reactive and on the defense so much.
Okay. Now, we were talking a little bit before we came into the studio. So I want to get to some of the other members. We've got Norman, who's a driver. You got Bagby, who's, I'll just say, a package handler. Got Jumbo over there. He works at the... So let's talk about working conditions, okay? Let's start with Norm, because I had said to Norm, I had asked him, how was it driving the trucks? And, that's the Big Brown.
Right.
And that was prompted because there's been a couple of articles that have talked about the situation in the trucks, that there's no air conditioning. So let's start with that, Norm. We know there's no air conditioning.
Correct.
We understand that that heat can cause some serious health problems.
Correct.
And causing those problems, how has the current representation responded to what could be considered a health issue?
That's a good question. Okay, the current representation, there really hasn't been a real response to it. Recently, there has been an interest list posted in our workplace as to who is interested in having a fan installed in their package car. I don't understand why you need an interest list. I mean, that should be something that's already installed. I don't know anyone who's going to say, no, I don't want a fan. I mean, if you offer the air conditioner instead of fan, I'll take the air conditioner. But I don't know anyone who would say they don't want a fan. That's the type of response that we're getting from our leadership. In our new contract, it states that the fans are to be placed in the trucks, but why would you need a list to say who's interested? What else would you like to know about the working conditions?
Could I ask a question? Is job safety and health is what we're talking about, and is that a key part of your campaign to change the leadership, to fight for better conditions, including air conditioning, for example, in the trucks?
Job safety and health is always a part of it. Air conditioning, I don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse and say, hey, we want to fight to put air conditioners in all the trucks. That's not something that I can speak to personally. That would be on a national level. So I don't want to jump out there and say, hey, yeah, we're going to put air conditioners in all these trucks. That's not something that I can speak to.
But you've made health and safety a part of your campaign for election.
Well, actually, myself and Bagby, we sit on the safety committee. So, and we filed numerous safety concern grievances about, safety issues that arise in the building. Not long ago, we just had a young lady that just passed out, and Clarence is right there. you know, and we almost lost our jobs fighting for it, I remember. You know what I mean?
Well, in that situation, it was a young lady who had a seizure. She passed out, and while I was over there working, they picked her up, and I'm thinking they're going to call the ambulance. They didn't. They took her in the office. Then I seen them walking her out. I said, wait a minute, what are y'all doing? Are y'all going to call the ambulance? So me and Rich went over there. We got in a big, huge argument with the supervisor. And his exact words to us was, we're not going to pay $500 for an ambulance to come in here, even though the young lady passed out. They let her go home, and the next day, she fell out again. And employees called the ambulance for them to come get her. So health and safety at that building, UPS preaches outside, like people don't work there, they'll preach safety is the most important thing, but to the workers, it's second nature to them packages. UPS care more about them packages than they do about any worker that works there.
Okay, and this work location that was at the hub.
Right.
Yeah, Philadelphia Air Hub.
Okay. Yeah, Jumbo, you look like you want to say something.
DHL, FedEx, and Amazon, they have air conditioners in their truck. We're going to fight for air conditioning. Fans is not acceptable, all right? UPS is making a ton of money. UPS is delivering 6 days now. They start delivering on Saturdays, right? We didn't get anything. Our local didn't get anything. January 2020, they're going to start delivering again, right? We can't get air conditioners. It's unacceptable. It's just unacceptable.
But a lot of what y'all might not know, the newer air cars had air conditioners and radios, and the air conditioners and radios were pulled out. So they had them.
Right.
So that tells you right there how much they really care about the employees.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Right. Yeah.
The new cars had
They
them.
pulled them out.
The new cars had them.
The smaller air cars had them.
Right.
The air
And
drivers.
they pulled
Pulled them out.
they actually okay.
That and the radios.
And the radios.
They pulled them both.
Radios and the air conditioners
Radios.
pulled out.
Right.
Radios are here and there, but the air
Yeah,
conditioner.
but you need the air. You need the air. You need something.
Car,
Yeah. Yeah.
They ripped the air conditioner out.
Yeah, okay.
Expo.
Yes.
You look like you were getting ready.
Listen.
You had something to say.
Oh, I got plenty to say.
Go ahead, speak into the
I
mic.
think, quite honestly, there's a long time wage theft issue going here on at UPS, right? It's about the 40-hour work week and the regular rate, and how UPS pays two different rates during the 40 hours that you work and doesn't adjust for the overtime accordingly. I have since filed grievances, filed a wage claim today. It's a bigger issue. I know when it first happened that Hooker had the same problem. It's about the Article 22.3s when they come in sometimes on Sunday. Guys on the ramp that might come in on Sundays. Package car drivers, when they have their regular scheduled work week, is Monday through Friday. They'll sometimes come in on Sunday, which they're due double time. That double time needs to be counted in towards the regular rate.
Has that issue been taken up with the people that currently represent the workers?
Yes. I just came back from panel with a case that Bill Shanahan tried this July. In that case, the company tried to claim that my start time for the day was 11:30 when I started at 9:30. Therefore, trying to say that it was overtime I was doing when I was getting paid the double time. But in the statement that they give, Exhibit 2, clearly in the following week, they have it corrected correctly. 9:30 start time, 9:30 points in, ready to go to work. So they obviously either manipulated it purposely, or it was just an accident. Take your pick. But I only filed the grievance for that week, and magically that's the week that's affected.
Okay. James,
Yeah. Yes.
what kind of things have you run into that maybe you've talked to your representative but have not been addressed?
Well, I'm a big harassment guy. Like everybody, because I've been harassed a lot here. I could say we all have been at one point, but you just have to stand up for yourself, and that's a big issue. And I know right now we have open grievances with harassment at Cardix right now that haven't been heard, and it's been open since February, and we bring it up. See, this is unacceptable to me because it allows the supervisors to continue to do what they're doing, but it needs to be heard. You know, they came down quick for the same supervisor when another supervisor filed against them. So another supervisor filed harassment against this supervisor, and HR and everybody ran down there. A member files, harassment, and they're taking a sweet time. So to me, there's got to be a time limit to at least like come down and hear this, because it's been a long time. And I don't know, to me, they're waiting for this supervisor to put their foot in their mouth type deal. But for it having a long span like this is unacceptable, because in this span, another employee has filed a grievance for harassment against the same supervisor. And to my knowledge, nothing has been done for that second one at all. So it's the span limit, and I tell people and I bring it up to them, to the shop stewards and the BAs, and they just basically like, it's not in my, I don't know much, I don't know, I only know what they're telling me, and they could be lying to me, so on and so forth.
So are you saying that management is not following the grievance procedure?
Well, it's
in terms of its time limits?
Yeah, basically, because there's supposed to be so many days to hear it. And with this, you talk about February for one, and now I think you maybe are like March for the other, or April. So you talk about it's now going to be September almost.
Right.
So I mean, are there steps in the grievance procedure that if you're not satisfied with the first step, you move to the second step, and there are time frames on that?
Exactly.
But they're not following them.
No.
Okay.
And it's basically, you're dragging their feet. And it's not just harassment. There's a whole bunch of grievances out there that people are very unhappy with. I mean, the grievance process with the members, they're getting very upset with it, because I have people come to me with wage issues, with their paychecks and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, you want to file a grievance? And they go, no, the management has a stack of grievances on their desk. They're not going to get to it anyway. So when it comes down to that, that's a big issue for us, because, I was on preload. I had my paycheck messed with for almost 5 months straight, and I had to file a grievance every week for a paycheck, and the shortages and stuff like this, you get penalties and whatnot. And if your shop steward don't file the grievance correctly, it's just a whole process that you have to put into a whole and make sure it's done right. Because if it's done right, it should be heard right. So everything is done right with this harassment grievance, but it's not being heard right. So, and that's a big issue. And then people are getting discharged, and more than ever, they're being scared that they're going to lose their jobs now more than ever, because they're fearing that they're not going to be represented properly. And that's a big thing right now with what's going on to people in office, and it's just spreading around like wildfire.
Okay. Yeah, Jumbo.
Yeah, well, it's the current E-Board. The current E-Board, the labor does not respect them, all right? You put in 1,000 grievances, right? Most of the grievances never be heard. All we have is saying that the grievance fell off the table.
Right.
Right. That's what they tell us.
Yeah.
So it's the current E-Board. The current E-Board principal officer, Bill Shanahan, he's weak. The company does not respect them. They do whatever they want. They break their rules. They violate everything. That's why people don't put the grievances in, because nothing's going to get done.
I can tell you firsthand, Jumbo speaks the truth on this. I've had many grievances that were delayed. The one for the wage case was in 2017. It's now 2019 when it got processed down in panel. I had to go in personally and start actually putting my grievances on a spreadsheet,
This one right here.
photocopying them, scan them in a computer so I can email and send them. Right now, I'm at the point where I'm just going to start sending them right to the labor office and say, here you go. Come back with an offer. Let's see what you're doing. Because now you're hurting my pocket every day. Because every day the supervisors work. Every day we should get our lunches bought down on a full-time preload. They don't. They fight us. Yet supervisors work every day. If supervisors work in plain clothes for 2-3 weeks, the supervisor says, oh, well, I didn't give him a supervisor shirt because another department stole the shirt. My man, it's been going on for a little bit longer than that. Don't use the shirt excuse. Get him one. The drivers.
So you mean that the supervisors aren't supposed to be doing bargaining unit work?
No, not at all.
But they're doing bargaining unit work,
Yes.
and they're getting away with it.
Yes.
And they're doing it repeatedly.
Right.
And not only are they getting away with it, they're being disguised to get away with it. So they're being told by management, like, wear civilian clothing.
And they've gotten real bold. They'll tell you, yeah, go ahead and file a grievance, because they know.
It sounds like there's a serious effort going on by management to undermine the union totally.
Exactly.
I mean, the next voice we hear sounds to me like it's going to be for a decertification of the union.
Yeah.
When they take this many shots at the union, and don't follow up on the grievances, don't follow the contract, et cetera, it really sounds like a concerted effort to bust the union. At least it's a chapter 1 in that case.
That's why we're here.
It's kind of not the busting the union. Is UPS get away with what the union lets them get away with? Like, I've been in the shop store for 12 years. And now what they're doing is when an employee files a grievance like Expo, the employee gets paid for the supervisor working. Now they're trying to discourage the employee from putting it in by saying you're not going to get paid for it. Goes to the top senior person, which is not correct in the contract. But as long as the E-Board allows them to do that, they're part of the reason why people are afraid to put in grievances.
Okay.
Now, I'm at the gates a lot. I'm working at the airport, sometimes 24/7. They said I can't do it, but I do it. So, Oregon Avenue, I had drivers stop and tell me, jump. I don't want to go in the office with Bill Shanahan. I'd rather go in there by myself. That's sad. 623 has never been like this. We used to be strong, a lot stronger. When George was here, they respect him. If George said don't do something, they wouldn't do it. But now they do whatever they want. They don't respect the E-Board. They know it's a joke, like they said. Put a file agreement. They tell you, management tell you.
Yeah, they tell
file
you.
agreements.
File it. Yeah.
We don't care. Yeah.
Okay. So that's why I assume that this slate has been put together. How has the response been to you guys individually and as a group? How has rank and file responded to your campaign?
Well, as a group, it's a lot different than it was in 2016. 2016, I think it was a lot of issues with, far as, we was brand new. Not a lot of people knew what we were doing. They seen us, but I guess it wasn't enough concrete evidence that we knew what we were doing once we got in office. And, we had a contract that was getting ready to be negotiated. A lot of people felt kind of anxious about putting brand new people in a position where they was going to negotiate how they take care of their families. Now, after the current E-Board negotiated a contract that we didn't want, forced it on us, and you allow the company to continue to do what they've been doing, I think the response has, and everybody knows that the response has been a whole lot different than it was 3 years ago. Absolutely. A whole lot different.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm one of the newest members to the slate this time around, and I can say 100% that I've been welcomed with open arms to everybody, from not only the people I'm running with, but from the members. I've been campaigning just like Jumbo. He does a lot more than me, but I've been making my way to Oregon Avenue and making my way to all different shifts. And let me tell you something, they're happy to see somebody out there.
Right.
They're happy to see somebody, and they mistake me for a union rep. And I'm like, I make sure I'm a union rep, a member just like you. I'm just out here trying to make a difference because I care. That's why I'm running, because I care about the membership. I want them to be educated on what's going on, what's right, what's wrong, and things that are going on in our local that everybody should know. And for me, coming aboard was, a no-brainer, because I supported the 623 Lives Matter move, from last time. And I was out there holding signs and talking to them, making videos, and now I'm on their side with the slate, making videos and holding signs and before the people, and everybody loves seeing that. They love having somebody out there being a part, being a voice, explaining stuff that should be explained from the people in office now. I'm just a member telling them these things, and they're like, wow, I should have known this. And it's crazy for me to see that, because I was that member once, and I know how it feels. Because you're in the dark. You're just basically coming to work and leaving, and everybody else is talking about stuff, and you're just like, wow, okay.
How many workers are there within this local? How many?
Hey, Jim,
4,400.
Really?
Right.
44. So you got two buildings. We got Oregon Avenue and the Air Hub, right?
And all 4,400 will be involved in this election?
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
but like you said, we got two different buildings, right? We have 4,400 members, but the contract doesn't read the same. All right? Oregon Avenue, they bid every January. 22-3s bid every January.
22-2s.
22-2s.
Right.
The airport, we can't bid.
Yeah. Job preference, right?
And it's the same local, same contract.
Yeah.
We can't bid. We should be able to bid too. That's not right.
Well, the problem with that is the contract is vague, it's gray. The way they do it is a person can read the contract and know exactly what it says, but then you go to the e-board and they'll say, no, that was written for Oregon Avenue. Doesn't say Oregon Avenue, doesn't say PHL. We're in the same local, so there's no way for a member to determine what building they're talking about. So that allows the e-board to manipulate the contract however they so choose, which is not right to the membership.
Like we have at the ramp, we got 10 different seniority lists. 10 on the ramp. How you gonna have 10 seniority lists on the ramp?
Some of them seniority lists got one person on. There's literally one person on the list.
I can tell you a little bit about the backstory. I know back when Merritt had those jobs made out on the ramp, that they were all looking at the bid language and they all wanted to bid, right? Because some guys wanted the day hours that some people got lucky enough when they signed the bid sheet and got. You know, they signed it like 2 months earlier before this prime time day job came up. And what they did is they separated everybody in a separate center so they didn't have to worry about bidding. Because just like Jumbo said, the day ramp should all be one list.
Right.
All one list and bid accordingly.
Right.
That's what every other place does. Every other center like Feeders. You know, if we had to bid, we'd bid for start time places. Some people don't do it because they separated the center so you didn't have to worry about that.
The members call Hooker, Bagby, and myself at Espo. They call us 24/7. They don't call the hall because the hall won't tell them the right answer. They won't enforce the contract. It's sad because even labor calls us. They call Espo, tell you, they call me saying Espo acting crazy. You know what I mean? Ask Espo, we want to pay him 60 hours. He wants 62 hours. Talk my jump, can we help him out? All right, you got Bagby and Hooker. They come in their own time. They do hearings and stuff like that, right? And, well, labor, Bagby and Hooker, they don't want to deal with them. They're scared to sit down with them. And that's, how can they represent, we're not on the e-board and they respect us, they don't respect the current e-board.
Right.
That's sad.
Yeah, they would rather bypass us as stewards and go straight to the e-board because they'll get a favorable decision with them over us.
That's
It's a lot to take in, ain't it?
I had a feeling that something was, let's say, amiss. Okay. But listening to what you all are saying, it's more than something amiss. I used to hold the position of shop steward and also chief shop steward. There's no way, first of all, that a grievance is going to lay on the desk from February, April, March.
Right.
And March is the 3rd month. We're in August, the 8th month, getting ready to go into the 9th month, which means the grievance has been laying there for 5 months. No way. If a shop steward under my purview allowed something like that to happen, well, first, there'd be some retraining. Mm-hmm. If there was a second occurrence, that person wouldn't be a shop steward. And you're talking about the e-board, which is higher up than the shop stewards, letting things like this continue to even exist.
Right.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Let me ask a rather pointed question. You mentioned discharges that are occurring. For example, this year, because you said there's an increase in discharges. This year so far, can you think about roughly how many people might have been discharged? And a second question I would have is for what are they being discharged for? Union activity or anything like that? But tell me how many were
I know
discharged.
Hooker could answer this question a little better.
Well, for overall, like for my area, I do the midnight sort, and for I have to say this, on the midnight sort is not the company that is doing our members wrong while they're getting fired. Our members are not doing what they're supposed to do. See, me and Bagby is like the polar opposites on when we go into, when we defend the members. When he goes in on preload, he can just go right to the attack because it's the company who's making, the member's life miserable. On the flip side, on midnight, it's totally different. The member is the one that's causing all the disruption. So I have to make sure that, number one, the company has filed all the proper procedures. Do they have a warning letter? Do they have some type of verbal warning? Did they did it in the right time frame? So luckily, sometimes, most of the time, the company doesn't do that. So I'm able to get the member another chance to get it right. And Clarence will tell you, some of the stuff I have to go through on that shift, I don't even know how these guys are still working. But, but for on Romeo's shift, it seems like to me, it's just the member, it's the company. So each shift is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. Each shift has, the manager may be a little bit more aggressive on this shift than not. Like I know in my situation, I have one manager how I can file a grievance, right? And it could be for a termination. If I don't say nothing for about a week, I'll go back to him, he'll drop the whole grievance. Another manager, it's not like that. It all depends on who the manager is. You have to know who you're dealing with. But that comes with, with time and experience and all that.
It sounds like they can't fire people because they can't do it right.
Exactly. Exactly.
They're following the methods and procedures.
You had a comment over here.
It's a flip side to that. The union has been trying to get me fired since 2011. A lot of members don't know that. Our union has been trying to get me fired since 2011.
Now that's a serious charge. You understand?
I got Bagby and Hooker back me up 100%. We done been in office 100 times. They listen. They try and fire me saying I'm putting campaign material out. I'm on the clock. Then they said that I was getting signatures for Fred on the clock, right?
Right.
Then they got females to make accusations and everything. They tell you 2011, ever since 2011, and now this year, we done been in office.
Right.
We done been in office like 4 times.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Is a lot of times, with our current e-board, if you showed you're with them, they'll stand with you. If you go against them or even speak up against them and say what they're doing is wrong, they'll not only not represent you properly, they wouldn't mind trying to get you out of there. And like me and Rich have been witness to a couple of occasions where BA would come in and go to management for about an employee. So there's no way you can represent an employee if you're the one bringing the problem to the management person.
Right.
And the BA know that the problem that they was bringing up would get the employee fired. And the employee wasn't even in the wrong. But they went to the management on several occasions to try to get somebody disciplined. So if somebody's supposed to be there to protect you, they can't represent you if they're the ones bringing you in office in the first place.
And I'm a sitting officer. I'm an officer, and they told UPS, don't recognize me at the Oregon Avenue building or the Philadelphia building, or the airport. They told management, don't recognize me. And I'm sitting on the board. And like I said, I'm sitting on the board, and they still trying to get me fired.
Yeah, Mr. Charles, Mr. Jim, it's a little rough.
Yeah,
It's a little rough for us.
like you got some problems.
Yeah, we got a lot of problems, but I think if everything goes the way I believe it will, and like I said, it's a lot different than it was in 2016. It's going to be some changes. It's not going to be quick because you're talking about nearly 2 decades of having this leadership in office. So you're talking about a mindset that the members have. So we're going to have to really, when we get in there, first thing we're going to have to do is try to change the atmosphere and change people's minds that, this is how it can work. It can work and it will work, but it's going to be a lot of work on our part to make sure that happens.
Right. So, like what I said, the members are coming up to us. They say, okay, we're going to vote for y'all. We're going to get y'all in office. They think we're going to change it overnight. We can't change it overnight. It's been broken 20 years. We can't go in there and fix everything. They believe we're going to fix everything, right? Just like they believe we're going to get a lot of full-time jobs. We only can do what's allowed to us. You know what I mean? So they got to give us a chance. One thing we can say, when we get in office, every member will be represented. Yeah. Everybody will be treated fairly.
Absolutely.
Just like the package car driver. Package car drivers, I don't know about that Oregon Avenue, but at PHL, they're not getting treated fairly. They're not getting treated fairly. Certain employees, when they come over there to take the bid, they got to do 30 days. Certain employees work 2-3 days, and it's done. You can't tell me. I stand at the gate, and I see this. It's sad. You know, everybody should be treated fairly and equal. It's not happening. And I'm telling you about the PHL. And they do whatever they want to do to the driver. Had the driver said that his back was hurting, he wanted to go to ER. They told me if you go to ER, they're going to fire him. I had another driver on the toilet, had diarrhea. He said, I'm calling out. They said, you can't call out. And this driver's supposed to be a tough guy. He came to work. You sick, you can't call out? That's sad.
Hector, you've been quiet over there. Come on, jump in the conversation.
I don't have too much to say. I'm fairly new with this group. These guys got so many years over me. I'm only going to go on 2 years. I was a part-time handler, and now I'm a full-time feeders.
Okay.
I joined it because I was recommended by another feeder department, by a feeder driver, Jim Hughes, who told me I'll be a good fit. So I'm here just to represent the feeder department, help inform and educate my guys, because they apparently, especially the new guys coming in, they don't know who works at the hall. You know, who is our BA, who is our trustees. They don't know nothing what's going on, especially in the contract when they start coming in, you know, to make their 30 days, you know, making sure if they're full time or not, and stuff like that. They're personals, wage issues that we have with the wage progressions. That's a big one that a lot of guys that we can't keep because of the wage progression. But yeah, that's it. I don't have too much to say, but I'm here to represent the feeder department and trying to help my guys and help everyone also on anything if they want to know about the feeder department. But I'm here to inform and educate. That's it.
Now, the feeder department, that's the tractor trailers?
Tractor trailer division, yes.
Okay.
The 18-wheelers, yeah.
All right, that's the ones we can see on the highway.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
No, it's not an 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
The big trucks, yeah. The double trailers, the 53-footers.
Right.
Pup trailers.
Yeah, but that would be an 18. Yeah, that'd be an 18. Yeah. Okay, yeah, Jimbo.
All right, and it's like the feeders at peak. It's like a parking lot out there with subcontractors. None but subcontractors. Forget about that. Amazon Prime. We just was fighting Amazon Prime. Subcontractors coming from everywhere. So they saying, jump, listen, Zolly, the shop steward, and feeders, me and them work good together. Zolly fights. He said, jump. Just get the tractor trail numbers. So I get the tractor trail numbers, right? Then Zolly said, jump. We can't put a grievance in for the tractor that's coming in because we don't know where they're coming from. We don't know where they originate from. But he's saying we could put a grievance in for the tractor trailers coming out. It's plenty of work. Our guys should be taking that work. And the question to Bill Shanahan, I'm like, well, what's the difference between logistic and a subcontractor? We own logistic. So they were down Oregon Avenue. They had 4 feeder drivers down there, right? So I'm saying it's plenty of work for us. Why shouldn't we take our own work? And not only that, at the convention in May, Dennis Taylor said that we're going to get 2,000 feeder jobs out of the life of this contract. We supposed to got 200 by June and July, right? He said, but we know that we can't give UPS 2,000 feeder drivers, so we still going to subcontract. That's a sellout right there. What do you mean? You know what I'm saying? Because some locals got part-timers that go at feeder drivers, right? They won't let our local. We got people in the hub that got Class A's, and they won't let them go up there. Regular employees, and that's sad. And there's plenty of people that want to drive feeders, and we had to remember, but our local won't fight for them.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I can speak to what Jumbo's saying. I just came back not too long ago from I guess I took a bid for the feeder department. It's a big issue. The thing is, it almost seems as if the company doesn't want you to make it. It's a lot of information. It's not for everyone. I gave them all. I'm going to go back and try again. But when you go in, it's basically, in my opinion, a 6-week course that's crammed into 2 weeks. When you sign the bid for this job, you're told by whatever feeder manager comes there, okay, this is what you need to do. This is what endorsements you need to come to the feeder department if you don't already have your CDL in order to get your permit. There's no information given out. So when you get there, the first day of feeder training is all writing. You're writing all day long. Your safety habits, your seeing habits, you spend a whole day writing. To shorten the story, at the end of 2 weeks, you're expected to be able to connect 2 pup trailers and pull them down the street, down the road confidently. 2 weeks. I can drive a stick shift. I can double clutch. But I don't think that 2 weeks is long enough for any employee coming from inside trying to make the transition. So just to piggyback off what Jumbo said, it's almost where you're putting into a position, okay, yeah, we gave these employees the opportunity, we gave them the chance, but they couldn't do it. The training is a very big issue. We need a longer period of time, and we need someone outside the company to train employees. There was a lot of information that was given to me. From the time I signed the bid to the time I was called up to training feeders, it was a few months. If I had known what to study, I might have been a little bit more ahead of the curve. But it's almost like you're put in a certain position to fail. You're not put there to succeed. You're not given, okay, they tell you what endorsements to get, but you're not told anything else until you get there. And it's like, okay, well, it's too much. Victor, did you have your CDL before you went to feeders?
Real quickly,
yes.
Let me ask
Yes,
this.
I'm a street hire.
Okay.
I'm considered street hire because I came off the street, so I already had my CDL when I came off the feeders.
Okay.
Is the training program strictly a management training program with no input from the union?
Yes.
Yes.
Strictly management.
Yes.
Yes.
So how do we get to have a say in that and to correct some of the things you're talking about? Making it longer, more training than they're given, and
Right.
don't make it fake, in other
Okay.
words.
Right, that's a really good question because Victor, you was a CDL instructor at one point.
Yes,
Right.
Yes.
So you could
I
use
have
your own.
I have experience as a CDL instructor
Right.
for Smith & Solomon. I was a part-time instructor.
Right.
Outside of UPS.
Right.
Yes.
So we could use our own resources to help our own members. You know what I mean? That's what should happen.
Yeah, well, when they was desperate, when UPS was desperate, they made a deal with Allstate. They sent, because our guys was filming the permit, they made a deal with Allstate to send our guys over there for 2 weeks, right? So they sent so many guys over there, Allstate didn't have equipment. We had to give them equipment. So now they don't use Allstate anymore. So I had 2 package car drivers that went up the feeders and they had problems. One is Rich Carroll. And Rich Carroll, he quit on the road. He said, listen, you ain't gonna talk to me like that. They talked to me, he said, you ain't gonna talk to me like that. So the union said, just suck it up, just suck it up. In 2 weeks, he said, no, nobody's gonna talk to me. I had another package car driver out of Oregon Avenue. They going up the Willow Grove. Same thing. Supervisor started talking trash to him. Now he pulled over. He said, I ain't driving. So the supervisor said, listen, at least drive to Willow Grove. So he drove to Willow Grove. He said, I'm quitting. I'm going back to the airport. So they went to Willow Grove. When they went in the lunchroom, feeder drivers came in the lunchroom. They said, yo, who's your trainer? They said, he's a real piece of work. He don't know how to talk to people. So my guy goes back to PHL. The manager comes in. They have a hearing. The manager said, listen, you're a great guy. I want to keep you. What do I do? What do I have to do to keep you? He said, give me another trainer. He said, well, I can't. I only got 2 trainers. So he went back to package. So now they changed it. I think Zolly is training. They got Zolly training in the yard.
I don't know.
I think Zolly, I think they had, because they got so many people in there, and I think Zolly was training 1 week.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, they got so many people. I think Zolly was out there training now, right? It seems like they need to go back to Allstate again, right? But once again, they ain't gonna spend the money. They ain't making no money.
Right.
That's the number one issue that we have at UPS. They don't want to pay for what they need. It's quite clear that they're short on feeder guys. You have dues-paying members that pay to get a better job opportunity, and UPS says, no, I'm going to go off the street. No offense, Victor, but there's guys that I know personally that will sit and won't have it. Just like you said, there's part-timers, years, not like months, years, that are waiting for that opportunity. They don't get it. They don't know about it. Nothing happens. There's not a letter going out to anybody to say, listen,
not posted.
UPS,
Right.
UPS is hiring off the street. So if you want the opportunity, why don't you go and try to apply too, just like Victor did. He got the word. but our own members don't get the word to take that opportunity. That's why this place fails. That's why there's no happiness there, and there's total discord because everybody feels like UPS is out to cheat me. If I come to work every day and I do my job, I'm less likely to get a job opportunity somewhere else. They're happy to let me punch in, punch out, and go home.
I do know of one full-time employee we have inside. This guy wants to be a feeder driver. He paid to take the course. He paid for his CDL. He did all the training. I'm pretty sure we know the same guy that works inside.
Yeah.
And he's continually getting the runaround. I don't understand. I'm happy for everyone to get a job, but we're a union shop. Before you hire from off the street, you should bring him from inside. He can do the job, but he's just not given the opportunity. At one point, he was told, okay, you don't have package car driving experience. If you park
What does
50,
the contract
60,
say about that?
What's that?
Hiring from the street.
5-to-1 rule.
Yeah.
For every 5 members, you can hire one off the street. Person off the street.
It
5 to
sounds
1.
like the 5 aren't being hired.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
There's never been at any union meeting I've ever been to, there's never been a detailed analysis saying, hey, listen, this time we got 25 of our own members and UPS hired 5 off the street. Never happened.
Right.
They don't know the answer. They've been asked that question. They don't know the answer. They're not going to tell you the answer. I can't tell you how many supervisors I've seen come in package car ranks. Because they'll go out and they'll help those guys, let them go train out in the yard, or let our own members punch out and go home and not give them that opportunity. It's just that simple. They don't want us to dominate the area, so they try to sneak in their supervisors everywhere. Everywhere there's a full-time position, they'll give them the hook up.
Go ahead.
One of the biggest, like Esther was saying, there is a 5-to-1 ratio. But one of the biggest things, the biggest problem we have with the e-board is we have no idea who gets what job. So you'll have supervisors who will take inside jobs, and then you'll have people say, well, I didn't even know that job was even available. And then we ask them, well, tell me the 5 jobs that you hired or created to that one. There's no information on who gets what job. So like
The jobs aren't posted. They don't post them?
No, none.
Does the contract say they should post them?
Some of the jobs are posted, but if you sign the job and you don't get the job, you don't know. They don't tell you that you didn't get it. They don't tell you who got it. So somebody can come in with less seniority than you, and the contract says you have a certain amount of time to file a grievance if there's a seniority violation. But if you don't know who has the job, there's no way that you can file that grievance.
So they're not being accountable.
Right.
No, not at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So what Clarence is saying that we have a website. So what happened is every time if Clarence get a job, it should be posted on a website. Then I got 2 weeks to challenge it. But if they're not posting it, you can't find out. So that's what they need to do. Everything's a secret there, right?
No
so
transparency
now,
at all.
Back to the feeder driver. The BA president Billy Mars that handled feeders, he's never around. He needs a map to get to the airport. And when he shows up, he shows up with an empty briefcase in the morning, walks around with his hands in his pocket.
Listen,
Can't ask him a
There's
question.
no briefcase. It's just him in his pockets. I can guarantee that. I rarely have ever seen him with a grievance in his hand.
He's never there at night. We run 24/7, 7 days a week. He's never there at night. One time he came down there at night when Dizzy Gray got fired. When the BA Dizzy Gray got fired, he came down there. George was on vacation in Florida. He came down there and got his job back for stealing time. That's the only time we ever seen him at nighttime. So what happened is when me and him got in a fight. When we have hearings at night, if you come down there for Dizzy Gray, you come down there for the rest of the members, right or wrong?
Right.
Yeah, every member should be represented fair and equally. Like I said earlier, they represent the ones who they know are for them at a higher level than they represent the people who they know have a problem with them.
And the number one, number two guy, head their favorite saying, when you go in the hearing with them or you ask about a grievance or something like that, you want to put a grievance. Well, the company can do whatever they want to say. That's what they say.
Yeah, they can do what they want.
They've actually told us, they told me that
Yeah,
personally.
yeah.
Like I had a penalty grievance where if you put a grievance in, if you don't get paid within a certain amount of time, they have to pay a penalty. My check was 3 days late. So I went to the BA and said, look, I want to file a penalty grievance. He said, well, you sure you want to do that? I said, yeah, contractually they owe me. He said, well, well, if you do that, then you might not be able to get stuff from them. I said, dude, if they owe me the money and they're late, then they're supposed to pay the penalty. If they don't have to pay the penalty, there's no incentive for them to pay the checks on time. And as my BA, you should be telling me, look, that check was late, whether it was 3 days or 3 hours, it's late. When you come in the building and you're 1 minute late, if they so choose, they'll send you home. So they're going to send you home over 1 minute late. If my check is late, I want the penalty.
So now the BA, back to feeders, we still on feeders. The BA, I just asked, the president or the principal officer, Bill Shanahan. I asked him a simple question. It was just a question. I said, listen, let me ask you a question. If the subcontractors are not paying city wage tax, can we block the gig? Oh, he went ballistic. I said, yo, I'm just asking you a question. He went ballistic. Oh, only the IBT. I'm just asking you a question. Is that the way it works? He went ballistic. I only asked a question. If they're not paying city wage tax, they're not supposed to be able to pull out of organ animals. PHL is different, but they're not supposed to pull out of. And he went ballistic. I'm only asking you a question. Is yes or no? Oh, only the IBT can authorize. So I'm asking you a question. Yes or no? He went ballistic. Oh, and then we had the other thing. We had the other thing where though UPS been spent between $200 and $400 million at the airport. They got all non-union in there. I called the Joint Council President, Bill Hamilton. I said, yo, they got some people here not in the union. I'm going to take care of Jim. I'm going to take care. I'm going to send my people out there. People never showed up. So I finally called him back. I said, yo, what happened? He said, listen, the concrete people, they got an injunction against the concrete people. If they show up, they're going to lock them up, right? He said, okay, the buildings trades union, they're going to be out there, right? 2 weeks go by. I'm like, yo, what happened? So now we had one of the guys fall from up top, and he got hurt. OSHA shows up. Well, we call OSHA all the time. They never showed up. OSHA showed up. The only time OSHA showed up, they were there for a day, then they was gone. But what happened is, if the Joint Council President, that's the top man of Pennsylvania, he won't do nothing. The local ain't gonna do nothing.
Well, gentlemen, it has been interesting as well as enlightening. And here, I thought, coming into this discussion, that one of the major problems was heat in the trucks. And here I find out, sounds to me, you guys are in a union that is not necessarily representing you.
Right.
Well, I can't take sides in the fight, okay? And as a broadcaster, I wouldn't take sides in the fight. I can just say, I wish you luck. You had something you wanted to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if you could give our principal officer designate an opportunity to at least tell what plans he has in store for the future of our local when we win this election. I mean, we've sat here, we've given you examples of the problems that we had, the situations that we encounter, but
Go ahead, quickly.
and Richard, instead
Well-
of just give you problems, just give some solutions.
Well, I think everybody knows from the very beginning that when we changed the way, negotiations will happen in our local, we're changing the bylaws. That is very, very big because, if the members know what's going on in negotiations, they make a better choice at voting. Also, we got a lot of committees that we were planning on making to fix the relationship between the leaders and the members. Because the ultimate reality is that we have to stop UPS, and the E-board can't do it alone. The members can't do it alone. It takes everybody. So that committee will help us there. We constantly, like everybody says here, we are constantly at the gates, educating and engaging our members, and that's not going to stop once we get in office. That's the main thing, because an educated member, like you always say, Mr. Jim, an educated member is the most dangerous member to the company. And so that's what we need to do.
It sounds like you want to change the culture there.
Well, we have to.
Totally.
We have to. We have to change the culture, the atmosphere, because we're not going to win unless we work together. And these guys that's in office now do not want to work with the members. They want to keep everything to themselves. And I think everybody in our membership knows that we're about giving and not taking. So that's what they're going to see. We're going to go on the offense and not necessarily be just on defense all the time. You know what I mean? We got to win sometime. People paying their dues to win, not to keep losing the concessions. You know what I mean? So that's what they're going to get.
Okay, Jim, we got 1 minute.
Okay, listen. So now you have to vote. You got to vote.
Yeah.
You can't keep saying I'm a vote. I'm a vote. You can't leave it on the kitchen table. You can't leave it on the refrigerator. You have to vote. You have to vote for Principal Officer Richard Hooker. You got to vote. If Richard Hooker doesn't win, we lose. You have to vote for Richard Hooker. Hopefully you vote Slate. Yes. But you have to vote. You can't keep complaining and not vote.
Right.
We had a lot of obstacles thrown upon us. The latest one is the ballots are being mailed out October 15th, tallied November 4th. If you don't get it by the 22nd, you got to call our union up and let them know. But that's only 20 days, which is the limited amount possible without violating the bylaws.
Right.
So one obstacle after another, and we're keeping on fighting for our members. That's what we do.
All right.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you so much. It has definitely been informative. Look to see you after the election.
Oh yeah, we have a special show November the 5th, 6th, one of them days. Yeah. Matter of fact, the 5th, because the show's on the 5th. It's on a Monday, right? They count them on a Monday, right?
Yeah,
right. So after we'll come down here and celebrate with you.
Okay, you mean September 5th?
November 5th.
Okay,
right.
Great.
All right.
Be looking forward to
it. All right, cool.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having us here. We appreciate it.